Hello, good evening there. My name is Damien, the tall, friendly atheist dad, and host of the Tall, Friendly Atheist Dad podcast. Wherever you are, whatever part of the world you happen to be in, and whatever you're doing right now, I hope you're well. And thank you for joining me for part 17 of An Atheist Reads I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist by Frank Turek and Norman Geisler.
So far from lies and hypocrisy, returns to energy, and silence becomes brave. Don't ask me the reason why. Just say I only dream in black and white. Future's nothingness, but I can choose another end. Opening my eyes, and you beginning in my life. Without emptiness to feel, I am sure of myself. No mercy until the end.
Good evening, I hope you are well, and yes, thank you if you are watching, if you're listening later on YouTube or wherever. Thank you for joining me. A pleasure to have you listen to the content I create, because just one more. If we can keep on making really good arguments against bad ideas, then hey, let's do it. So this is part 17 of my reading of I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist by Frank Turek and Norman Geisler. Sorry, let's just get that piece of sticky tape off. But yeah, if you do head to the YouTube channel, search for the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad podcast, and you'll see numerous books that I'm reading that are in various stages of procrastination. But this particular book is quite wordy and has a lot of ideas worth responding to, which is why even after 17 installments, I'm only on to page 119. But yeah, now have a look at the playlist. I've linked the playlist in the show notes, and so go through the playlist and have a listen to everything I've said. If you think I've got something right, excellent. If you think I've got something wrong, let me know. I'm more than happy either way. I'm here to have a contest of ideas, not an argument, if you get where I'm coming from. So yeah, anyway, just a little bit of housekeeping before I get on with the series. Just trying to think, if you do want to come in, if you do want to be in the chat with me, feel free to either leave a comment in the comment section, or if you want to actually come on board and discuss directly with me, I'm more than happy either way. If you want to debate, we really got to do it first up in the show, so I can interrupt my flow. If you want to debate me half an hour in and I'm about to pack up, then it's like maybe for another time. But typically my Sunday night show is where I make it a bit more relaxed, either a call in or a specific topic where I'm not so fussed about who comes on and what topics is discussed. So yeah, Sunday night call in show. Check that out. Otherwise, if you do have the book, I'm currently on page 119. And by the way, the music in the background is from the band Victim of Illusion. Victim of Illusion are really cool, but head on over to victimofillusion, all one word, .bandcamp.com, pick up their latest album for a handful of €, support independent artists, and get some really cool music. But otherwise, I'm going to turn myself around, get my voice right near the microphone, because this is how you do ASMR. Yeah, it's like I'm reading to you, slowly putting you to sleep. Sorry about that. So, alright, so where was I? I actually forgot exactly where I was, but oh, lordy. Oh, anyway. Okay, look, I'm actually going to go from the bottom of page 118 because I forgot exactly. I thought I had it on 119, but anyway, so we'll go from page 118 and I'm going to turn the music up a little bit. There you go, tunes. 3, 2, 1. Do Darwinists insist on spontaneous generation because they just don't see the evidence for design? Not at all. In fact, exactly the opposite is true. They see the evidence clearly. For example, Richard Dawkins named his book The Blind Watchmaker in response to William Paley's design argument we cited in the last chapter. The appearance of design in life is admitted on the first page of The Blind Watchmaker. Dawkins writes, "Biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose." 2 pages later, despite acknowledging the intricate architecture and precision engineering in human life and in each of the trillions of cells within the human body, Dawkins flatly denies that human life or any other life has been designed. Apparently, Dawkins refuses to allow observations to interfere with his conclusions. This is very strange for a man who believes in the supremacy of science, which is supposed to be based on observation. Okay, so in the space of one paragraph, Turek and Geisler just say things that are just so bad. So bad. So, for example, now The Blind Watchmaker was written... Okay, I'm just going to do a little bit of... That's me, my thumpy keyboard. The Blind Watchmaker was back in 1986. So we're talking about a book that's 35 years... Okay, so we're talking about 35 years old. It's like, okay. So basically, in essence, one atheist in one book. So one atheist in one sentence on one page in one book is evidence that every atheist is ignoring the evidence for intelligent design. God, this is why we don't trust apologists, is because, they... sorry, I should say we, but most atheists nowadays have a very hard time trusting apologists because they do these word games. They do these, one of your kind said that, one of your kind said this, and now he's trying to hide the evidence. So turn down a touch. But yeah, it's just, it's very hard to argue with someone who has that mindset, who is so... And look, I agree that atheists can also be pig-headed about how they do things as well, but... So what did he apparently write? Biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose. Well, yes, this is the thing. Biology is the study of complicated things. That there's no issue there. There's no no truck for me there. They give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose. Well, yes, they give the appearance of having been designed, but that is just, I suppose, a poetic shorthand. Because if you read the rest of the book called The Blind Watchmaker, Dawkins... I love how Turek has gone, hey, this one sentence on one page says it was designed. And then, the rest of the whole book is designed to refuting the watchmaker argument that Turek is reading that sentence from. It's like far out. Yeah. It's 2 pages later, despite acknowledging the intricate architecture and precision engineering. Now, so I don't know what the all he's quoting is the intricate architecture and precision engineering. So the fact he's not quoting the rest of the sentence makes me think he could be quote mining there. It's just, Dawkins flatly denies that human life or any other life has been designed. Of course, because those people who say that life has been designed, they're not giving a methodology by which we determine design other than by incredulity. Look at all these small numbers. How is it possible? Well, yeah, there's lots of things with small impossibilities happen a lot. This is the thing. But this is the thing. Like, there's no. Yeah, it's just, and then like when he says there was something else I was about to respond to as well. Where was it? The intricate architecture and precision engineering in human life and in each of the trillions of cells within the human body. But we know that the human body is not designed. And I'll tell you why, is because every cell we see was the result of natural processes. So, for example, when the sperm and the egg meet, there's no little tinkerer who's like cloning cells and then like dividing them and making sure they get the right amount of genetic material, and then those cells clone again and then again and again. Like, it's just a natural process that happens. So those cells that we see are the result of natural processes that happen in the human body. Like, for example, hair. I'm sure the hair cells are intricately complicated, but we know they weren't designed. They just happen to be as properties of the human body. So unless you saw someone like manufacture a human body out of materials, then you can't go saying that the trillions of cells in the human body were designed. Well, no, they were not. Yeah, it's... Then his last little snarky sentence. This is very strange for a man who believes in the supremacy of science, which is supposed to be based on observation. Well, we don't have a designer to observe. So, at best, we can only go inference at best. But yeah, and this is... now, Frank may not be aware of the Kitzmiller versus Dover judgment as well, in which intelligent design was not found to be science. And one of the telling quotes from Michael Behe was that intelligent design is a proposition which is accepted based on the extent of someone's religious belief in God. So, that just rules it out as a scientific proposition. But anyway, let's continue the book. Let's turn the tunes up. Francis Crick, co-discoverer of DNA and another ardent Darwinist, agrees with Dawkins about the appearance of design. In fact, the appearance of design is so clear, he warns that biologists must constantly keep in mind that what they see was not designed, but rather evolved. Crick's little memo to biologists led Philip Johnson, author and a leader in the intelligent design movement, to observe. Darwinian biologists must keep repeating that reminder to themselves, because otherwise they might become conscious of the reality that is staring them in the face and trying to get their attention. The complexity of DNA is not the only problem for Darwinists. Its origin is also a problem. A difficult chicken-egg dilemma exists because DNA relies on proteins for its production, but proteins rely on DNA for their production. So which came first, proteins or DNA? One must already be in existence for the other to be made. So why do Crick, Dawkins and others in their camp ignore the plain implications of the evidence staring them in the face? Because their preconceived ideology, naturalism, prevents them from even considering an intelligent cause. As we're about to see, this is bad science, and it leads to wrong conclusions. Alright, so again, just more creationist apologetics, practically claptrap, in all honesty. So like, firstly, he's, Francis Crick, another ardent Darwinist. It's like, as if being a Darwinist is a bad thing, but Darwinism is only one mechanism of evolution. It's more of a concept. It's one of those. But again, when you're an anti-science propagandist, which frankly I think Frank Turek is, years ago or some time back, I would have given him the benefit of the doubt. But now I've seen his Twitter account. And I know he's not interested in reasoned arguments. There's been a few times where I've posed questions directly to him. I've invited him on the podcast through his website. Now I may be too small of a fish to fry for him. Maybe he's after the big guns. But yeah, it's But even on Twitter, there's been a few times where I've, he's posed a question or a statement. I've responded in earnest, and I don't get a response from him. So it's all like, well, if I criticise Frank Turek, it's because I believe he deserves to be criticised. But he's not the only apologist who does things like this, who will just make really bad arguments, accuse scientists of being pig-headed, of trying to kick God out of the textbooks, that there's some sort of conspiracy to kick God out of evolution is bad science and leads to wrong conclusions because you're doing better science. No. Now where was it? So this quote from Francis Crick: biologists must constantly keep in mind that what they see was not designed but rather evolved. Yep, okay, that's just a human trait. That, so let's say that a biologist is looking at something and he goes, yes, this was designed. He would still have to prove that it was, so let's say intelligently designed. He would have to prove that it was intelligently designed, and by who, and propose that mechanism. Whereas naturalistic mechanisms, i.e. evolution, are a much more replete and a much more just a better explanation for things all around. Because if you look at Nobel, I won't say that one just yet. But yeah, there's a reason why creationists talk at churches and not at science conferences. I'll put it like that. And if you think there's a pro-evolution bias, then you don't know how science works. And even if there is a pro-evolution bias, then if there's enough evidence, that pro-evolution bias will slowly be weeded out. Philip Johnson, author and leader of the intelligent design movement, to observe, Darwinian biologists must keep repeating that reminder to themselves, because otherwise they might become conscious of the reality that is staring them in the face and trying to get their attention. But again, all you have at best is a philosophical argument. You don't have a clear-cut case. So even if you... Now, anyone who calls themselves a thought leader in the intelligent design movement really should hang their head in shame, to be honest. Because, it's like being a leader in the intelligent design movement is sort of like having a PhD in fairy studies. You can talk, or it's being like, the guy who believes that the world is being run by the lizard people. Yeah, sure, you can believe that, and you can write a cajillion books, and you can go, oh yeah, this is, my theory explains that. But then, yeah, no, it doesn't, buddy, it doesn't. So yeah. Now, I'm not going to argue about DNAs and proteins. I don't know enough about that to make a comment on that, but I would bet $10 that Turek has got this wrong. Just on that. And then this last paragraph. So why do Crick, Dawkins, and others in their camp ignore the plain implications of the evidence staring them in the face? Because the argument relies on incredulity and the very human desire to put intelligent patterns behind things that they see. That's why. And this is how religion comes about, is because, because humans are pattern-seeking creatures. There's, for example, in the 9/11, when the World Trade Center towers collapsed in 9/11, there were people who swore black and blue that they saw demonic faces in the smoke from the towers that fell. Why? Because humans do seek patterns in particular things. So even if we saw something that was incredibly complex, it doesn't give us a reason to believe it was intelligently designed. Because even if that thing you get in front of you, it would at best be a copy of a replica through natural processes anyway. It's not like you've got like a cell in front of you that a deity gave you. What you're looking at is a cell that has been replicated, that is the result of natural processes going back gajillions of years. that is in front of you, So what you see is natural processes anyway. If you got the original with like the master plan from a deity who walked into your lab and said, hey, this is in the Ziploc bag and it's all sterile and all that, but have a look. Yeah, let's go into I'll go for another 10-15 minutes or so. I'll turn the tunes up and we'll go into the section called Good Science, Bad Science. It is commonly believed that the so-called creation-evolution debate, now often called the intelligent design versus naturalism debate, entails a war between religion and science, the Bible and science, or faith and reason. This perception is perpetuated by the media, who consistently depict the debate in terms of the 1960 movie Inherit the Wind, which fictionalized the 1925 Scopes monkey trial. You know that depiction. It basically goes like this. Here come those crazy religious fundamentalists again, and they want to impose their dogmatic religion and ignore objective science. Actually, nothing could be further from the truth. The creation-evolution debate is not about religion versus science or the Bible versus science. It's about good science versus bad science. Likewise, it's not about faith versus reason. It's about reasonable faith versus unreasonable faith. It may surprise you to see just who is practicing the bad science and just who has the unreasonable faith. Alright, let me turn that down. Alright, so just one paragraph here. So, I can't believe that so-called creation-evolution debate, now often called intelligent design versus naturalism debate, it's no longer a debate. The debate was over, a long time ago, and it got put to bed by the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial. That's kind of like I will keep on referencing that. And I know that Christians get pissed off when people like me refer back to it. They go, "Oh, you're letting judges decide what science is." Well, the judge is when the judge who is qualified to hear expert opinion and who has the facts in front of him, and he's been hired, he's paid to professionally evaluate arguments. When the most prolific intelligent design proponent, Michael Behe, is grilled on the stand, and when he admits that he has ignored all the evolutionary literature on his pet topic, on his field of expertise, the judge has to take things like that into account. So it's interesting that Turek references, or Turek and Geisler reference the Scopes monkey trial. And even the Scopes monkey trial, that was actually about a person who was prosecuted for teaching the theory of evolution in class. And the guy was found guilty of teaching science in class. So, yeah, and this is the thing. It's, you know the depiction. Here come those crazy religious fundamentalists again, and they want to impose their dogmatic religion and ignore objective science. Yes, and they still do. This is the thing. If you go to, well, first of the National Centre for Science Education. Oh, hello. So what's my train of thought? Because my son's just come into the room. Where was it? Like, we can see with vaccines that there's a very strong correlation between vaccine refusal and religious affiliation. There's a strong correlation between those who believe there is a new world order and religious affiliation. There is, there's like evolution is like the battleground, but there's also other aspects: cosmology, geology, genetics. If we look at places like Genesis, the Ark experience, we have these multi-million-dollar organizations dedicated to misinformation and propaganda. I mean, like, for example, let's say an Islamic organization had a theme park dedicated to the story of Muhammad flying on a winged horse and going to split the moon in half. And then let's say that there was an Islamic group that was teaching that it's possible for people to fly on horses to the moon to split it in half. Now, would not you, as a Christian, go, oh my gosh, why are people teaching that to children? It's so silly, it's so dumb, it's so... But then when you teach that there was a wooden ark that had two of every animal on the earth, and that those animals somehow spread out from Turkey, Mount Ararat, to the rest of the world, this is how we look at you. We go, oh my gosh, you believe something really, really weird like that. Or, for example, let's say Scientologists got their own school and they were teaching that mental health issues were caused by body thetans attaching themselves to people. You go, that's a ridiculous idea. Why are they teaching that? Well, because they have a very strong anti-psychiatry bent. And if they're teaching that to children, you go, oh my God, why are they teaching that to children? That is just patently ridiculous. Well, yes. And so is the idea that there were only two people in the garden who managed to screw it up by listening to a snake that spoke theological level Hebrew. So this next paragraph where he goes, the creation and evolution debate is not about religion versus science or the Bible versus science. I'll stop you there. Turek, that is rubbish, and you know it. It is about religion versus science. Because even as Judge John Jones noted in the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial, that the extent to which someone believes in intelligent design is in direct proportion to their belief in a particular religion, in a particular monotheistic religion. So even if Michael Behe wants to deny until he's blue in the face that intelligent design has nothing to do with the religion, actually, just while I'm on that, I'm going to turn the music up and I'll find the quote. I cannot find it. Where was it? Yes, I've deleted it. Unless it's in my recently deleted. Okay, so finally, let me turn that down. So I finally found the, this is reading directly from the judgment in the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial. Conclusion. The proper application of both the endorsement and Lemon tests to the facts of this case makes it abundantly clear that the board's ID policy, intelligent design, violates the Establishment Clause. In making this determination, we have addressed the seminal question of whether ID is science. We have concluded that it is not, and moreover that intelligent design cannot uncouple itself from its creationist and thus religious antecedents. Moreover, in turning to defendant's lead expert, Professor Behe, his testimony at trial indicated that intelligent design is only a scientific, as opposed to religious, project for him. However, considerable evidence was introduced to refute this claim. Consider, to illustrate, that Professor Behe remarkably and unmistakably claims that the plausibility of the argument for intelligent design depends upon the extent to which one believes in the existence of God. As no evidence in the record indicates that any other scientific proposition's validity rests on belief in God, nor is the court aware of any such scientific propositions, Professor Behe's assertion constitutes substantial evidence that, in his view, as is commensurate with other prominent ID leaders, ID is a religious and not a scientific proposition. And there you have it. That is exactly what I believe. That, well, actually, I will agree wholeheartedly with that. That intelligent design is only, just trying to think. No, I was going to say only, because there are a handful of atheists non-believers who concede that aliens may also play a part in it, but for religious people, like I said, it's only religious people that push the idea that a deity created human life. And that is clearly, I would say clearly not the case. So what I'll do is I'll just read one more paragraph, which will take us to page 121. As we've mentioned before, science is a search for causes. Logically, there are only two types of causes: intelligent and non-intelligent, i.e. natural. The Grand Canyon had a natural cause, and Mount Rushmore had an intelligent one. Unfortunately, on the question of first life, Darwinists like Dawkins and Crick rule out intelligent causes before they even look at the evidence. In other words, their conclusions are preloaded into their assumptions. Spontaneous generation by natural laws must be the cause of life because they consider no other options. Spontaneous generation is what critics of evolution call a just so story. Evolutionists provide no evidence to support spontaneous generation. It isn't supported by empirical observation or forensic science principles. It's just so, because life exists. And since intelligent causes are ruled out in advance, there can be no other possible explanation. Alright, so I'll finish the... I'll just comment on this last paragraph and then I'll finish up the reading. But yeah, so in the book there's two pictures side by side. One is of Mount Rushmore with the faces of the presidents carved in, and then the Grand Canyon. Now, some people say that the Grand Canyon was intelligently created by all the water in the Noachian flood. Now, there's a 9 line here. Unfortunately, on the question of first life, Darwinists like Dawkins and Crick rule out intelligent causes before they even look at the evidence. Darwinism is not to do with the first life. Darwinism is simply to do with the diversity of life that we have on Earth today. It can concern itself with the first life, but it's typically not in the remit of the theory of evolution to look at how the first life came about. That is in the origin of life and abiogenesis and all that kind of stuff. And I know creationists and apologists will do their darndest to try tie the two together. And there are some apologists, Kent Hovind, who will say that evolution, the theory of evolution, as someone like me would understand it, is actually part of a larger theory of evolution, cosmic evolution, stellar evolution, chemical evolution, all these other types of evolution, which it's just a BS argument, as far as I'm concerned. But the problem is that the best explanation for the origin of life from the ID side is that, it looks complex. It must therefore have been designed. And that is all they have, really. That is... And then he goes, in other words, their conclusions are preloaded into their assumptions. Spontaneous generation by natural laws? No one believes in spontaneous generation. Spontaneous generation was a theory of the origin of life that was debunked by Louis Pasteur, in which he believed things like maggots come from rotten meat because the information to create those maggots is already in the rotten meat, and so those maggots would spontaneously generate out of the meat. Things like that. So again, Turek is wrong. He's just wrong. And it's frustrating because this isn't a book to convince atheists that they're wrong. It's to convince Christians that they're right. And with that, I'm going to put my bookmark in, so we're on page 121. And until next time, look after yourselves, stay safe, get vaccinated, enjoy your freedom, while you have it, because it's being in lockdown sucks. But anyway, I've been Damien, that's all from the Atheist Dad. Check out the links down below. Schreib's in the commentare. Auf Wiedersehen.
I am sure